My name is Rebecca Torres. I'm 34 years old. 3 months ago, a social worker named Linda Martinez showed up at my door for what my mother had told me was a routine paperwork check for my son's special needs trust fund. My son Mateo is 8 years old and has cerebral palsy. His trust fund was supposed to have $167,000, money from a settlement, his SSI back pay, and years of fundraising to pay for his therapies, adaptive equipment, and future care. Linda asked to see the trust account statements. My mother, who was a co-trustee and managed the finances, to help me, handed over the paperwork confidently. Linda reviewed them in silence for 5 minutes. Then she looked up at my mother and said, "Mrs. Torres, this account should have $167,000 based on the deposits documented here. It currently has $3,247. Can you explain where $163,753 went?" My mother's face went white. "There must be a mistake in the bank's records." "There's no mistake. I have court authorization to review all transactions. Over the past 3 years, you've made 47 withdrawals, totaling $163,753. The memo lines say medical expenses and therapy costs, but I've cross-referenced them with Mateo's actual medical bills. None of these withdrawals correspond to his care. Where did the money go?" But what my mother didn't know was that Linda wasn't just a social worker doing routine paperwork. She was a fraud investigator for Child Protective Services, and she'd been tipped off by Mateo's physical therapist, who'd noticed that his prescribed equipment kept being delayed, despite the trust fund supposedly having plenty of money. Linda had spent 2 weeks building a case before she knocked on my door, and she already knew exactly where my mother had spent my son's money: on my sister's wedding, house down payment, and luxury purchases. Before I tell you what happened when Linda revealed that she'd already filed a police report and my mother was about to be arrested for exploitation of a disabled minor, please like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Drop a comment. Where are you watching from and what time is it there? I love connecting with all of you. Now, let me take you back to where my mother's financial control over Mateo's care really began. Growing up in Los Angeles, I learned early that my needs were negotiable, but my younger sister Amanda's wants were treated as essential family priorities. My family: Dad, who owned a construction business making good money; Mom, who managed the family finances and everyone's lives; my sister Amanda, 4 years younger, who'd been spoiled from birth and grew into an entitled adult; and me, the responsible older daughter, the one expected to handle everything alone. Amanda got funded. I got forgotten. When Mateo was born 8 years ago, it was immediately clear something was different. He wasn't meeting developmental milestones. At 6 months, he was diagnosed with cerebral palsy, moderate severity, affecting his mobility and motor skills but not his cognitive abilities. My world shifted to therapies, specialists, equipment, and planning for a future where Mateo would need significant support. My husband Marco and I were overwhelmed but determined. We researched. We fought with insurance. We found the best therapists. We loved our son fiercely and wanted to give him every opportunity to thrive. When Mateo was 2, we won a medical malpractice settlement related to oxygen deprivation at birth. After legal fees, we received $85,000. We put it immediately into a special needs trust for Mateo's future care. My mother offered to help manage it. "You're so busy with Mateo's therapies and appointments. Let me handle the financial paperwork. I'll make sure every penny goes to his care." I was exhausted and grateful. I added her as co-trustee, giving her legal authority to manage the fund. Over the next 6 years, more money went into the trust. Mateo's SSI back pay, $14,000, fundraising from our community, $28,000, donations from Marco's company, $8,000, and contributions from family members, $32,000. Total, $167,000. My mother provided quarterly statements showing the balance growing. Everything looked fine. But around the time Mateo turned 5, I started noticing things didn't add up. Mateo's physical therapist recommended an adaptive bicycle that would help his leg strength and give him independence. Cost: $2,800. I asked my mother to withdraw the money from the trust. "Oh, honey, we need to be careful about depleting the fund," she said. "Let's wait a few months and see if we can find a used one." "Mom, the fund has $140,000. We can afford $2,800 for equipment his therapist says he needs." "I'll look into it. Don't worry." 3 months later, no bicycle. Meanwhile, Amanda posted on Facebook about her $6,000 vacation to Hawaii. When Mateo was 6, his occupational therapist recommended home modifications: grab bars in the bathroom, a ramp for the front steps, widening doorways for his wheelchair. Total estimated cost: $8,500. Again, I asked my mother to pull from the trust. "That seems expensive," she said. "Can't Marco build a ramp himself?" "Mom, Marco works 60 hours a week, and the doorways need professional work. This is exactly what the trust fund is for: Mateo's accessibility needs. I just think we should conserve the money for when he really needs it." "He really needs it now. He's 6 years old and can't access parts of our house." "I'll think about it." A month later, Amanda posted photos of her new furniture. "Mom and Dad helped us furnish our whole living room. So grateful for family." I started to feel sick. When Mateo was 7, his neurologist recommended intensive therapy at a specialized center. Insurance would cover some, but we'd need $12,000 out of pocket for the full program. "This could significantly improve his mobility and independence," the neurologist explained. "The earlier we do this, the better the outcomes." I called my mother. "I need to withdraw $12,000 from Mateo's trust for the therapy program." "Rebecca, we don't have that much available right now." "What do you mean? The last statement showed $155,000. "There are administrative costs, management fees. The actual liquid amount is lower." "What administrative costs? It's just sitting in an account." "I'll send you updated paperwork, don't worry about it." The paperwork never came. Mateo didn't get the intensive therapy. That's when I called the bank directly. "I need to verify the balance on a trust account." The banker pulled it up. "The current balance is $78,000. My hands went numb. "The last statement I saw showed $155,000, 6 months ago." "I'm showing significant withdrawals over the past 2 years. Large ones. Do you have access to the account?" "I'm the primary beneficiary's mother, but my mother is the trustee managing it." "You should speak with your mother about the withdrawals, or possibly consult an attorney." I confronted my mother that night. "The account has $78,000. You told me it had $155,000. Where's the money?" She looked flustered. "There have been expenses. Mateo's therapies, equipment." "What therapies? What equipment? He didn't get the bicycle, the home modifications, or the intensive therapy. What expenses?" "Administrative costs, tax preparation, account fees." "That doesn't equal $77,000. Rebecca, you're being ungrateful. I've been managing this for free, taking time out of my life to help you. Don't accuse me of something you don't understand." I backed down because I was exhausted, and she made me doubt myself. But Mateo's physical therapist, Sarah Chen, noticed the pattern too. "Rebecca, Mateo keeps missing out on recommended equipment," she said gently. "The gait trainer, the adaptive bike, the standing frame, these aren't luxuries. They're therapeutic tools that would significantly help his development. I thought the trust fund was supposed to cover these." "It is, but my mother manages it, and she keeps saying we need to conserve funds." Sarah frowned. "Conserve? The whole point of a special needs trust is to enhance quality of life now, while preserving SSI eligibility. Not to hoard money. Can you check the actual balance?" I showed her the bank's number. $78,000. "Okay, but his total care costs over the past 3 years. The equipment I've recommended that he hasn't gotten, That's maybe $20,000 total. Where's the rest of the money? I don't know. Sarah made a decision. I'm required to report suspected financial exploitation of a disabled minor. This doesn't feel right. May I contact Adult Protective Services on your behalf? It's my mother. I can't accuse my own mother of stealing from my disabled son. Rebecca, Mateo has rights. If someone is exploiting his trust fund, that's abuse of a vulnerable person. Let the professionals investigate. If there's nothing wrong, they'll confirm it. If there is something wrong, Mateo deserves protection. I agreed, terrified of what they'd find. 2 weeks later, Linda Martinez, a social worker and financial exploitation investigator, called me. Mrs. Torres, I'm following up on a report about your son's special needs trust. I'd like to schedule a home visit to review paperwork. My mother manages the trust. Should she be there? Yes, please. I need to speak with both of you. I told my mother a social worker was coming for routine paperwork verification. She didn't seem worried. In fact, she seemed almost pleased that the state was finally checking to make sure everything was being done properly. The day Linda arrived, my mother was confident, organized. She had files ready, neatly labeled and arranged. She dressed professionally, made coffee, set out cookies like we were hosting a friendly meeting. We sat at my kitchen table. Mateo was at school. Linda introduced herself as a social worker doing quality assurance checks on special needs trusts to ensure proper management and compliance with state regulations. She asked to see the trust documents, the account statements, deposit records, withdrawal records, receipts for major expenses. Standard review, she said. My mother handed everything over, smiling, chatting about how carefully she'd managed every penny for my precious grandson. Linda reviewed them methodically. I watched her make notes on a yellow legal pad, check documents against each other, pull out a tablet and cross-reference something. Her expression never changed. Professional, neutral, thorough. 20 minutes passed in near silence except for the rustle of papers. Then she looked up with those same neutral eyes and said words that shattered my world. Mrs. Torres, this account should have approximately $167,000 based on the documented deposits over the past 6 years. The current balance is $3,247. Can you explain the discrepancy? The room went cold. There have been expenses, my mother said less confidently. Medical bills, therapies, equipment. Linda pulled out another folder. I have Mateo's complete medical records, his insurance EOBs, records from all his therapy providers. The total out-of-pocket expenses over 6 years for his care, $31,000. That's everything not covered by insurance. The trust should still have $136,000. My mother's hands were shaking. There were other costs. Administrative. I've reviewed all 47 withdrawals you made. Let me read some of the memo lines. Medical equipment, therapy costs, accessibility modifications. But when I cross-reference these with actual medical expenses, none of them match. There's no equipment purchased, no therapy paid for, no modifications made. Linda pulled out more documents. What I did find is this: a $38,000 withdrawal in June 2021. That same week, a check for $38,000 was deposited into your daughter Amanda's account. Memo line, wedding gift from mom and dad. A $45,000 withdrawal in September 2022. 3 days later, a $45,000 down payment on a house in Amanda's name. Multiple smaller withdrawals, $3,000 here, $5,000 there, that correspond to luxury purchases on your credit cards. She laid out bank statements, receipts, transaction records. You stole $163,753 from your disabled grandson's special needs trust. You used it to fund your other daughter's wedding, house, and your own lifestyle. While Mateo went without recommended equipment and therapy that could have improved his quality of life. I couldn't breathe. My mother, my own mother, had stolen from Mateo, from my disabled son. That's not stealing, my mother said desperately. I'm the trustee. I have legal authority. Trustees have a fiduciary duty to act in the beneficiary's best interest. You acted in your own interest and Amanda's interest. That's breach of fiduciary duty, financial exploitation of a disabled minor, and theft. All felonies. Linda looked at me. Rebecca, did you authorize any of these withdrawals for purposes other than Mateo's care? No, I had no idea. Did you receive any benefit from the stolen funds? No. Linda turned back to my mother. I've already filed a report with Adult Protective Services and the police. There's a detective outside waiting to speak with you. You can cooperate now or be arrested. Your choice. My mother started crying. I didn't think of it as stealing. Amanda needed help. She's struggling financially. Mateo has his SSI, he has insurance, he's taken care of. Mateo is not taken care of! I found my voice. His therapist has been begging for equipment you wouldn't buy. He can't access our bathroom safely. He missed intensive therapy that could have helped him walk better. All because you decided Amanda's wants were more important than your disabled grandson's needs. Amanda is my daughter too. She deserved a nice wedding, a house. With her money or your money, not money set aside for a disabled child's medical care. Linda stood. Mrs. Torres, please step outside. The detective needs to speak with you. My mother was arrested that afternoon, charged with financial exploitation of a disabled person, theft over $100,000, and breach of fiduciary duty. The investigation took 3 months. The evidence was overwhelming. Every withdrawal was documented. Every fraudulent medical expense was exposed. Every luxury purchase for Amanda was traced. Forensic accountants pieced together the entire money trail. The prosecution built an airtight case showing that not a single dollar of the $163,753 stolen had been used for Mateo's care. My mother's lawyer tried to argue she had authority as trustee. The prosecutor brought in expert witnesses who explained fiduciary duty, special needs trust law, and the specific harm done to Mateo. One expert, a special needs attorney named Dr. Robert Chen, testified about the long-term impact. Children with cerebral palsy who receive early intervention, proper equipment, and consistent therapy have significantly better outcomes in mobility, independence, and quality of life. Every year of delayed therapy, every piece of equipment not purchased, these aren't just inconveniences. They're lost opportunities for this child to reach his maximum potential. This child has cerebral palsy, the prosecutor said in her closing argument. He needs equipment, therapy, and modifications to have the best possible life. His grandmother stole the money set aside for his care and gave it to his aunt for a wedding and a house. She bought her daughter granite countertops, while her grandson went without a walker. She paid for a photographer to capture her daughter's wedding, while her grandson missed intensive therapy that could have improved his mobility. That's not legal authority. That's exploitation of a vulnerable child for personal and familial benefit. The judge agreed. My mother was convicted on all counts. Sentencing was brutal. The judge's words were scathing. You held a position of trust. You were responsible for protecting and enhancing the life of a disabled child. Instead, you treated his medical fund as a family bank account for your other daughter's luxuries. The harm you've caused isn't just financial. It's medical, developmental, and deeply personal. 3 years in prison, though she'd likely serve 18 months with good behavior. 5 years probation after release. Ordered to repay the full $163,753, plus interest and penalties. Total, $189,000. She didn't have it. She and my father had to sell their house to pay part of it. They're in a small apartment now, making monthly restitution payments that will last 15 years. Amanda was subpoenaed. She claimed she didn't know the money came from Mateo's trust. She thought it was my parents' money to give, but her text messages told a different story. Can you take more from Becca's account? I need another $10,000 for furniture. Thanks for the house down payment. Glad that money is going to good use instead of just sitting there. She knew. The prosecutor made that clear. Amanda hasn't been charged criminally, but I sued her in civil court for the money she received. She was ordered to repay $83,000. She's on a payment plan, too. The trust has been restructured. I'm the sole trustee now. The recovered funds, plus donations from our community after the story went public, brought the balance to $178,000. Mateo got his adaptive bicycle, his home modifications, his intensive therapy, everything he should have had years ago. He's thriving. At 8 years old, he can walk with his walker for short distances. He's reading above grade level. He's happy, confident, and has no idea his grandmother and aunt stole from him. I'll tell him when he's older. But for now, I'm just focused on giving him the life that money was always meant to provide. My relationship with my mother is over. She sends letters from prison, but I don't read them. She made her choice when she decided Amanda's wedding was more important than Mateo's mobility equipment. My father divorced her. He claims he didn't know about the theft, though I'm not sure I believe him. We have a distant relationship now. Amanda and I don't speak. She posted on social media that I destroyed the family by prosecuting our mother. I blocked her. Here's what I learned. Financial exploitation of disabled family members is more common than anyone wants to admit. Families justify it. They don't need that much. Other family members need help too. The money's just sitting there. But special needs trusts exist for a reason. Disabled individuals have higher lifetime costs for care, equipment, and support. That money isn't extra. It's essential. My mother stole $163,753 from a child who will need lifelong support for his disability. She decided his aunt's house was more important than his walker. His aunt's wedding was more important than his therapy. That's not a mistake. That's not a misunderstanding. That's criminal exploitation of a vulnerable person. If you're watching this and you have a disabled family member with a trust fund, verify the balances. Request statements. Cross-reference withdrawals with actual expenses. Don't assume family members managing the money are acting in good faith. And if you discover theft, report it. I know it's hard. It's your family. But the disabled person deserves protection more than the thief deserves loyalty. Before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Have you dealt with financial exploitation of vulnerable family members? How did you discover it? What helped you take action? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story resonated, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And remember, disabled family members have rights. Their money is for their care, not for other family members' wants. Protect them fiercely, even from family, especially from family. I'm Rebecca Torres. I'm 34 years old. My mother stole $163,753 from my disabled son's special needs trust to fund my sister's wedding and house. A social worker's routine paperwork check was actually a fraud investigation that exposed everything. My mother is in prison. My son has his equipment. And I learned that protecting vulnerable family members sometimes means prosecuting the people who exploit them. Trust, but verify, especially when vulnerable lives depend on it.